Hello and welcome everyone to the University of Lynchburg here at Turner Gymnasium on Wayne Profit Court. The University of Lynchburg Hornets match up against the Averett Cougars in this fantastic spout between the two teams, two ODAC teams. Lynchburg starting off the season 2-0, winning 6 straight sets against their opponents, flipped the script a little bit and have lost 3 straight games. Going over to the Averett side, they're in a similar situation, winning their first game against Warren Wilson College 3-0. And a little bit of a flip script for them too, when losing their next 5 matchups. Both teams have only won a single set in those losing streaks that they have. So Joe, what do you think both these teams are going to think going into this game?
Well, it really does feel like a must-win game in terms of just flipping the script and gaining some momentum on this season. You mentioned it, a great start to the year for both of these sides, but a recent losing skid. You want to try and get the wheels going in the right direction, and if you have an opportunity, it's right here, right now. The first of 3 games today. Every team here in the Saturday Showcase round-robin style tournament will take the floor twice, but this should be the most competitive matchup we've got on our hands today.
100%, and like the screen said, my name is Ethan Morotsky, my partner today and my very good friend Joe Brennan. We're here to show you this Lynchburg matchup. As we go into the pregame stats, we're going to take a little bit of a look at it, and it's somewhat similar. If you look at the Lynchburg side, we see that there are a couple more errors per game for this team, 17 and then 10.8 for Averett. And then you look at the blocks, 6.3 for Lynchburg and 3.3 for Averett. And that's what we really have looking forward to in this one, as we're going to step into the national anthem, and we will bring it back to you for some more pregame stats, the lineups, and players to watch.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
Welcome back, everyone. The announcements are just about to begin. The national anthem has ended, and we're going to jump right into it, and we are going to look at the Averett starters to begin with here. We start off with Finn Oakley, Ure Colazo, Dominic Jenkins, Liam Audrian, Sean Freeman, and Kendrick Sasu Tuamasi.
Yeah, very talented lineup, a really thin team. This doesn't go extremely deep, but they certainly have talent on deck. You mentioned Finn Oakley, the outside hitter. He has really been a playmaker so far this season for the Cougars, averaging 2.7 kills per set. He's been nothing short of a playmaker so far for the Cougars, and the Lynchburg Hornets are really going to have to try and contain him at the net at that front line of defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it says, leading the team in kills with 54 so far on the season. You can tell that this is a player on this team that Averett looks to get their entire offense going. And as we flip it over to the Lynchburg starters, we will see Matthew Esqueda, Jeremiah Costello, Braden Berardo, Mason Kenna, Nick Redding, Stefan Kapanov, Bryce Jackson, and Noah Wolf. What do you think about this starting lineup, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have a whole lot of hitting power, especially with guys like Kenna and Redding. Those two have really been a 1-2 punch so far this season. But it's been Nick Redding that's really raised some eyes, the freshman right side out of San Diego, California. He's been phenomenal, especially at the net. 15 blocks this season. That's more than Averett alone as a unit. So he has certainly lived up to the hype. but I mean, he's one of many freshmen. When we talk about Averett not being extremely deep, the caveat for Lynchburg is they're so young. This is a team that's entirely freshmen, aside from 3 players with 2 sophomore transfers and 1 junior transfer. And they're starting to come along piece by piece. Every game you can see this team is slowly starting to gel, but it's really being put on the shoulders of the head coach, Ryan Turner. Turner really having to play a pivotal role and try and put the pieces together in his first year at the helm.
Absolutely. He's not a new coach into the volleyball system. He is 2-3 starting the season, but he's also the women's volleyball assistant coach with head coach Coach Cardoza at his side. So it's not his first job here. He was also at Lynchburg before Coach Cardoza got here, so he definitely knows his way around the campus. He knows how to mesh with the players. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, and as we look at the Averett coach, we would normally say head coach, but they actually have 2 assistant coaches in David Duino.
They've got 2 assistant head coaches on their team, which you don't necessarily see every day. Something kind of out of the ordinary. The 2 at the helm for the Cougars this season. You have Matt Stillman, the assistant coach, and Emma Nash, the assistant coach, both in their first season. You saw the numbers for Stillman. He was a stud during his collegiate career playing for Trine, a middle blocker, and we've seen that translate with the talent he has on the floor. Meanwhile, for Emma Nash, also in her first year with the program, a native of Monroe, North Carolina, played 5 seasons with the Averett Cougars and over 500 matches during her collegiate tenure down in Danville.
Well, as the pregame stats and everything you need to know going into this game comes to a close, we are going to hit set number 1 of this second ODAC matchup for the Lynchburg Hornets and the Averett Cougars. It's going to be very interesting to see what is going to go on. Obviously, we know the ODAC is usually a strong conference. It's a little difficult to tell with men's volleyball as teams are starting to begin those programs as of recent. We saw Virginia Wesleyan also in their second season with the men's volleyball program. So it's a little difficult to tell as of right now. Obviously, it's also the beginning of the season, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens throughout this ODAC season, but we're going to see what happens here as a really nice hit there by Lynchburg, sent back over to their side. They're going to have a chance to get a really nice hit here. And that spike going to get past Averett. That had some power on it, and it's going to be a 1-0 start for the Hornets. We see that this Lynchburg team has the power and capability of hitting these shots past Averett.
They got 2 great swings on that first rally. They tried to go to Redding early, then go the opposite side, and it's Costello with the cross-court kill. He has a lot of juice behind that swing, and you can see the athleticism as well. These guys can jump out of the gym.
Well, one thing that we're going to be looking forward to is not just the power, but like Kapitanov tried to do there, is the placement within these balls. Nice block there for Lynchburg, sends it back over to Averett. A little bit of a miss set there. Going to give a free ball to Lynchburg. And that one, we saw the complete opposite there. A little bit of a placement to the left side of the court. Averett can't handle that, and that's something that this Lynchburg Hornet displayed a little bit against Virginia Wesleyan, but it was mainly we saw the power that they had. We're going to see what they can do to try and adjust to this Averett Cougars defense.
And what a start for Costello. 2 early points. He's seeing the floor extremely well to start.
Referee waves that one. Well, one of them waved it out of bounds. Maybe a little bit of, got a little bit of a touch there.
Yeah, right on the line. That's the near side official's ball to call. He had a much cleaner look at it.
Well, the main referee and the one on next to the net called it Averett ball. So we're going to head into a 2-1. Maybe get a little bit of a lead change here for Averett. They need a little bit of a run to get some momentum here in the beginning of this set.
Granted, it's still early. I mean, we're still at 2-1. Anything can happen, but right now, the momentum right out of the gate certainly on Lynchburg's side.
It does look like Lynchburg does have a little bit of a spark, and we saw that with Virginia Wesleyan. They only played 3 sets against them, losing all 3, of course. But we saw at the beginning of more of the first half of every single set, we did see a spark between this Lynchburg team.
This is a Lynchburg team that has traditionally come out of the gate stronger than they've closed their sets. And that's something that's, I think, really natural when you've got such a young team. I mean, this is a team that is figuring it out more and more every single day. It's going to take some time for them to really gel, and also just to gain some, maturity. That's really a big thing. Being able to handle your emotions in this kind of environment when you're battle tested and you're playing tough competition. Because through those first 2 games, I mean, those were probably their 2 easiest just based on talent so far this year. And in the last 3, they've started to be a little bit more so battle tested, especially with a team like Virginia Wesleyan, Ethan. I mean, that's a team that, granted, in their second year, but they got a handful of transfers that came from the Division I level. And they showed that they're here to make some noise this year.
Virginia Wesleyan, obviously, like you said, second season, first season they had, it was a little bit of a struggle, but it's kind of what you would usually see between a new program, and that's what we're hoping we're going to see with Lynchburg. A new program, they have some things to figure out. Like you said, a ton of freshmen and a couple transfers. These players have never played with each other before.
I never think that in the first year of a program, the goal, or the expectation rather, is to win the conference, especially in a conference with schools like with Randolph-Macon. There's a whole lot of talent in this conference, but we're seeing everybody start to figure it out day by day. And this is just an opportunity to really gain some confidence for both of these sides.
As referees talk and discuss that point, we're going to see Finn Oakley serve this one to the Lynchburg side. Very nice serve. Hits the rafters and shoots back down. Boy, we don't really talk about it as much as we should, but those rafters for both teams could cause problems in this one. Teams usually are used to playing with the more so of a bigger roof, but the rafters, they can cause problems here as that serve from Oakley hits the net, giving Lynchburg the lead back at 5-4 in this first set.
And one thing that is important to look out for, this is the first year of ODAC men's volleyball. Granted, there were a couple of programs, but this is the first year that the conference has adopted this sport. As that one runs past the back line for a service error. And if you look at the preseason rankings, it was Randolph-Macon at 1 by a wide margin, receiving 6 first-place votes, followed by Roanoke, EMU, Vawez, Randolph, and the 2 teams we've got here today. Lynchburg clocked in at 6th, Averett in last place with 7, which can't come as too much of a surprise. They've got 4 guys on their bench right now. I mean, this is a really, really thin roster. It doesn't have a whole lot of depth. We talk about programs that are developing. I mean, look nowhere else in the 2 squads that are taking the hardwood today.
Yeah, absolutely. A really nice kill there by Bryce Jackson, hitting it where they're doing a really good job finding their power and placement this match. It's really going to depend on if they can keep that intensity going and keep the energy up. So we're going to see Mason Kenna serve this one towards the Cougar side. Blocked by Lynchburg, sending it back to Averett. And they're going to have to just send this one towards the Hornets.
I mean, those blocks were a key for us coming in today for Lynchburg, and so far they've really lived up to it. For Averett, it's been really tough to get anything past that front line. Look at the awareness right there by Nunes.
Yeah, really nice job. A little communication from his team telling him to let that ball go, or it could have just been his instincts. That's one of the things that I've learned from volleyball is you have to know where you are on the court and where the ball might end up.
Yeah, because spatial awareness is important in every sport. Volleyball, really no exception. Nunes, a defensive specialist, a guy that's in the roster listed as a libero. We know he can really hold his own on that back line.
Absolutely. Mason Kenna going to send that one over with some force as Lynchburg trying to find that open space. Averett finding their rhythm on that, getting it over to Lynchburg's side, continuing this run. Fantastic volleyball there from Averett.
I mean,
and a nice job from Bryce Jackson to send that one down.
That didn't go their way, but how about the hustle from the junior in Lopez? I mean, he's been flying all over the floor.
Which shows the athleticism here that you have to play in this conference. Like you were saying earlier, 7 teams in this entire conference for men's volleyball. it's a little different because when you look at ODAC tournaments for other sports, you really only have 8 teams in just the tournament, but there's every other school playing in that whole regular season. So it's going to be interesting to see how this regular season ends up spinning off and when it comes closer to playoff time, as Lynchburg take a 4-point lead. As we look at that replay, really nice job there from the Hornets.
Yeah, we've been talking about power. This time it's this sophomore middle hitter in Bryce Jackson. Went right into the chest of this Spaniard Lopez. He just couldn't take the heat. I don't blame him. That's a tough one.
Mason Kenna going to stay at the service line, and he gets his own serving ace, giving them a 5-point lead. And you love to see what Lynchburg's got going on here. Every time that there's a point, as Averett calls the timeout, every time Lynchburg gets a pointer in any way, they're celebrating, they're hyped, they're getting jiggy with it. As we're going to take a step away and give both these teams some time to think about the beginning of this set on LHSN.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Welcome back to the University of Lynchburg. Coming out of the timeout, these are some very important points. It gives your team some time to talk over what has been going on in the beginning of this set, but it also gives Lynchburg a little bit of a breather. So it's going to be very important to see what happens as Kenna continuing to serve that powerful serve. Lynchburg trying to just get a quick point there, as that one's going to be out, and it's going to be a Lynchburg point.
I mean, right now, Averett's really struggling to hit the ball. Meanwhile, the Hornets, they've been almost perfect thus far. Lynchburg, right now, with a hitting percentage of .375. I mean, these guys have really come out of the gate swinging so far.
Absolutely, as that serve, finally, Kenna gets a little bit of an error there, hits the net, giving Averett a point. It'll be 11-6. Hopefully this can give them a little bit of momentum. And I mean, that's really what it's all about. It's not worrying about the points ahead of you. It's worrying about the one that you can control at this very moment.
Well, I think what's so impressive is right now the lack of errors for Lynchburg. Granted, they've gotten 3 service errors so far. That's been half of the Averett offense early on. But no attacking errors yet for Lynchburg. A close one right there with a free ball the other way.
Yeah, no attacking errors, but it does look like both teams are starting to struggle a little bit with their setting.
What a dive right there from the libero in Bernardo.
Yeah, really good job. That is why they are the defensive specialist on both teams. As a really nice block there from Dominic Jenkins leads to an Averett point. That was fantastic. A really great effort from Lynchburg, but an even better one from Averett.
That was an emphatic block from Jenkins. He's only listed at 5'11", but he looks 6'4" at the net right there.
And making his presence known for the Averett Cougars. As we're going to get a serve right here to the Lynchburg side from Sean Freeman.
Oh,
and a really nice hit from Lynchburg. He said, right back at you on that one.
A cross-court kill from Costello. That one had some juice behind it.
Yeah, the 6'3" freshman from Chesterfield, Virginia, showing why he is right there at front of the net, displaying his power. So we're going to get a serve from Bryce Jackson that is going to go a little bit too far. Another serving error from Lynchburg. And that's something that we've seen, that they do have a little bit of a problem going into this game. But like you said, they're keeping the communication errors on the court and all the minor mental mistakes to a minimum, which is really what you can, it's really, you got to take the positives out of everything.
Going back to the hot hand.
And Averett not going to be able to get that one as it's going into the bleachers. The Hornets, you got to admit it, they're putting some power onto the ball. Placement is there. They're red hot to start this matchup.
I mean, right now they're just feeding Jackson and Costello heavy. Those two already with 3 kills apiece. They're seeing it well. And you also got to credit their setter. I mean, they're really, really moving it well. 7 assists so far.
They're doing a good job making adjustments here. And that's really what volleyball is. It's knowing what you're doing wrong and making the adjustment, allowing your other players to make better plays so they can step up. As we see a Averett kill off of the redirection going out of bounds. Nothing Lynchburg could do there.
That's our man to watch. That's Finn Oakley doing what Oakley does. He's got 2 guys right in his mouth, able to get the tool.
You know, something you might like here, we're looking at it, it's sophomore from United Kingdom, Cambridge.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a pair of foreign student athletes, with Lopez being from Vigo, Spain. I hope I'm pronouncing that city right.
I think as a broadcaster, it's one of the most interesting things to see people from different countries. I mean, obviously with field hockey, we've got a ton of players from the Netherlands. We also have somebody from the United Kingdom and England. I think that's something that I absolutely love to see when I'm looking at a roster.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, what's up?
What is the United Kingdom? Like, I understand. I mean, I feel like that's England, and who else falls under that umbrella?
Northern Ireland, Wales. And
not Southern Ireland?
Well, Southern Ireland, I believe, is just Ireland. This is something I should know.
So there's
with
Northern Ireland and Ireland.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense. Like in the US of A, there's North Carolina, South Carolina, North Dakota, South Dakota. It's not North Dakota and Dakota. Kidding me?
Yeah, I'll have to ask my mom about that one. I honestly couldn't give you an answer. I feel like I should know that.
To give some people the perspective, your mother is from the United Kingdom.
Yes, she is. She's from London, and again,
this isn't just
say what you want,
this
but
isn't just my mom is Google. She knows all the answers.
Yeah. Well, mothers do know best, but yes, my mom is from North London in England, not Northern Ireland or Ireland, but from England. So yes, I should know that, as Lynchburg will take a 6-point lead here, with Costello serving this one. A really nice serve. Averett trying to get back to that one. It hits the rafters. Looks like he was a little thrown off from the time that the ball spent up there. I've always said that we need a camera up there. We need to get a camera to see what's going on in the rafters, because often it's tough to see what's going on up there.
Right now, Averett's struggling to see what's going on as the Hornets out to a 7-point advantage here in the opening set.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Welcome back. Coming in after Averett's second timeout. It's not the best thing when you're calling your second timeout this early in a set. It's about midway through the set.
Yeah, granted, we're still early on. It's still the opening frame, but right now it's just been, how do you stop Jackson and Costello? Those two have been on a mission here early, 5 kills apiece.
Well, when we talk about Lynchburg kills, let's head over to the Averett side, as a really nice block there from Averett. Another one, and it will go towards the Lynchburg side. I would assume with the excitement that's going on.
Yeah, you could feel the juice all the way up here. I mean, these guys are loving it right now.
The energy, as we look at that replay, possibly a little bit of a net violation from Averett.
Yeah.
I mean, you can feel everything from that Lynchburg side. As Lynchburg going to serve this one over again with an 8-point lead. as that one very close.
That's really been the Achilles heel for Lynchburg here in
absolutely.
the opening frame. 5 service errors thus far. But, I mean, you'll take it with the way that things are going right now. They still only have 1 attacking error. I mean, this team is playing out of their mind right now. This is the best we've seen them play all year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you go over to the Averett side with 3 kills and 3 attacking errors, which puts them at a 0% attacking or hitting percentage. Averett's going to have some frustrations to figure out as they get that point there, cutting the lead down to 6.
That's a big one from Sasu Chamasi. I mean, when you really need to get an ounce of momentum just to get the wheels going in the right direction, that's a great way to do it.
That serving error almost hits the referee. You saw a little bit of movement there. Referees can be athletes too.
That reminds me of football when it goes off the goalpost.
Well, every sport has its referees, and showing the athleticism, I'm sure, most of these people probably played the sports that they're refereeing. So, going back to their prime on that one, is Lynchburg going to send this one over to give Averett a free set here? That one really nice dig there from Kapitanov. Averett killing that one. It will be blocked, but it's going to go out of bounds, and it will be another Averett point. And like you said, they've got to figure out a way where they can turn 1 point into 2 and then 2 point into 3. You got to focus on the points that they have at hand, or the point that they have at hand, and figure out how to control what they can control.
Well, they're slowly starting to cut into this deficit. Escada just couldn't get a handle of that one.
Yeah, a little
like
bit of a
the
miss
celebration from Averett. Look sweet.
Wow. We're seeing the energy from Lynchburg. Averett got to find a way to get their own little energy. It could be a little tough. We've talked about how they have a thin squad. They only have 4 players on the bench. So maybe that's something that is a little bit of a struggle, is finding that energy.
Well, I just wonder where the fatigue sets in. Because right now in the opening frame, you're as fresh as you're going to be all day. When we get late in the stages of their second game today against Marymount, that's really where we're going to see how much of an effect this has. But granted, Moravsky, this isn't anything new. I mean, this is something they've been dealing with through the first 6 games, all throughout their preseason. At some point, you just grow accustomed to being uncomfortable to a certain extent.
You said it. They're going to go up against Marymount right after this matchup. We can see Marymount in the top left of the bleachers, a very good men's volleyball team. Both these teams are going to match up. We talk about how this is a must-win game, but if you can beat that Marymount team with the struggles that you've had in the last 2 weeks, that's a statement win.
I think a Marymount victory for either one of these teams on the floor right now would be a statement win. That is a very, very quality team. Granted, nobody here today is over 500, but they have a handful of quality wins, most notably a 5-set victory over Virginia Wesleyan, and that's a team that came into Turner Gymnasium and swept the Hornets. But right now, a slow start for Averett, but now you can see they're slowly starting to pick it up. They're cutting into this deficit more and more.
Yeah, 3-point lead now for Lynchburg, as we're going to see Sasu Tuamasi serve this one into the net. That's really the opposite that you want to do when you're going on a run.
These service errors have really started to be detrimental for both of these sides. A total of 10 thus far. 4 for Averett, 6 for the Hornets.
We're going to see Esqueda with the serve here, giving it back to Averett. They've gotten to the 21-point mark. 4 more points for the set victory. Is Averett going to send this one away? Another block by Lynchburg, and it's going to stay on their side and hit the floor.
Calazo with another great tool right there, using the defenseman's arms to his advantage.
Sean Freeman going to send this one over towards the Lynchburg side. Sending it to the cross court. Averett a chance to take another point, and they do.
And that was all the spark plug from Lopez. You have Costello, who's been red hot today with 5 kills, leading the Hornets with 7 points. But the libero's just doing what he does best, keeping it alive, getting it to his playmakers, and Costello just putting it away.
Really nice job there from Averett, making it a 2-point game. as that one gonna hit the net, maybe throwing off the Averett Cougars a little bit, but Lynchburg gonna take every point that they can get. I mean,
that one
like
was
you said,
sneaky.
Averett coming back in this one, cutting the deficit down. It's starting to become a little bit of a back and forth battle now, and this is exactly what you want to see in a volleyball matchup.
This is what we came into today expecting. A close contest between two teams and the ODAC hungry for a win.
Another error there from the Cougars. It's been the story of their life so far this game. As Averett gonna have a chance to come back. And that one gonna go Averett's way again. Another deflection off of the net, or excuse me, not off the net, but at the net. And like we said, back and forth, back and forth. Lynchburg still has that 3-point lead, and they are coming closer and closer to a set one win. But Averett, they're fighting. They're coming back.
This is the time where you're pinned in a corner with your back against the wall, and you just got to keep swinging. What a great move right there.
A really nice job. Typically, you're thinking that it's going to go set, kill, but a really nice job finding the open space. Averett fighting for that. They were getting towards it. Just a really nice job.
That's the kind of thing that we've seen in this gym all year long with Jana Leak on the women's side.
Absolutely.
The center right there with a little bit of trickeration to find the open space.
As we got set point here, a really nice serve from Lynchburg. And that one comes off the rafters, and it is going to be a Cougar point.
And that was good offense, just better defense. I mean, you have a chance to put it away right there with an ace, but Lopez has other plans.
You know, we were talking about Jana Leak in the setting, and obviously there are some differences between the men's and women's volleyball, and one of the biggest ones is serves.
Yep.
The amount of velocity that you have on serves is just, it's huge. And that one gonna fall, and it will be a set one going towards the Lynchburg Hornets. As we will take a pause in between sets. Lynchburg up 1-0 against the Averett Cougars here on LHSN.
Lynchburg is all about you, your ideas, and your goals. We've got one professor for every 10 students, so you can get all the support you need. In the classroom, in the lab, or in nature. You'll learn by putting yourself out there, and we're right there with you.
Look what you're missing!
Living the dream. USA, Mexico. That was so exciting.
We are back here at Wayne Prophet Court. University of Lynchburg Hornets winning the first set. It looked like it was a little convincing for the Hornets. Obviously, Averett, they did start to come back towards the end, maybe a little bit too late. But that loss for Averett will be their 10th consecutive set loss in their last couple matchups. And if you really want to go back even further, that is their 16th set loss in their last 17 sets. That one win coming up against Roanoke College. Now, that wasn't an ODAC matchup, but it's still, Averett's got to figure out something to do here.
Yeah, without a doubt. But we started to see Averett get their footing and build that foundation towards the back half of the opening frame. This is a Lynchburg team that just opened up ready to play. They came out swinging. It was really Jeremiah Costello that got things going early on. He's someone that has a whole lot of power behind that swing at the net. But for Averett, they started to get a couple of stops together, really string together a handful of points, and what really brought them alive was that defense at the net and making life difficult for Lynchburg and the counterattacks as well. And with that being said, Lynchburg led by as many as 9 in that first frame. They were able to cut it down to a 2-point lead as we're at the 20 mark. So
both these teams, they had stuff to look forward to in that first set. A little bit of adjustments are going to be made from both teams. I want to talk a little bit about Ryan Turner and the coaching staff for the University of Lynchburg. Obviously, with Coach Kevin Cardoza as the assistant coach, not here today, but he's the head coach for the women's volleyball team. We were in the office yesterday. We were talking to Coach Cardoza, and the way that both Ryan Turner and Kevin Cardoza talk to their players, they do a really good job building that relationship within their team.
Yeah, it's clear that there is a culture that is being built here at the University of Lynchburg in all 3 volleyball programs, whether that be the men's, the women's, or the beach team. And you've got 4 men that are really spearheading that change in culture as you really have a brand new set of faces. Obviously, Turner has been here. You had Coach Nathan Jensen with the beach team, who was here for a season ago, but now really taking a step into that leadership role. But it has been fascinating to see the shift, and not only just with the men's team, but women's hosted an ODAC game for the first time in over a decade this year, and Turner was a big part of that, alongside his assistant Thomas Chandler, who has come into Lynchburg here in his first season, a guy that had a whole lot of success during his collegiate career down south in Alabama. But it's not always just what you see on the floor. It's a lot of off the floor too, where these guys are trying to build an identity for Lynchburg volleyball.
We saw a serving error there from the Hornets, giving Averett their first lead, well, extending their first lead for 3-1.
Yeah, no, they didn't have a chance to take the lead in the opening set. So now you've got the advantage. It's how do you hang on to it? How do you contain that momentum and try and keep Lynchburg a little bit more quiet? And I think a big part of that is just slowing down Costello.
Well, it's also about cutting down the errors, as we saw. A little bit of a communication error from Collazo. A really nice job there from Bryce Jackson. I mean, he does whatever he wants up there, it looks like, as of right now.
That was, unfortunately for Averett, just a poor pass that he was able to take advantage of. Was trying to hook up with his outside hitter, and it got sniffed out by Jackson.
It's something called volleyball IQ, knowing where the other team is and also knowing where your own players are. Knowing where you can go with the ball. A really, really nice job there from Redding, our player to watch. Fantastic job on the near side of the net.
How about the feed from Wolf? He gets everybody going to the left side, swings it over his head, has a man wide open with a runway right in front of him.
Really good job there from the entire Hornets team, taking the lead now in this set too. Obviously it's early. Both teams have something to look forward to. They've shown that they can do, a really, really nice job there from Reading again. We're calling out his name a couple times so far in this beginning of the second set.
Well, you know, we talked a lot about how Lynchburg has been great at the net defensively so far this year. On the flip side, that's really been probably the biggest area of weakness for Averett 6 games in. And right as I say that, an emphatic block.
A really nice block there from Kendrick Sasu Tuamasi.
I mean, that was a great adjustment because they got caught sleeping the last 2 times. Right there, said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on 3. Not happening again.
Proved the good Joe Brennan wrong on that one.
But those are the kind of errors that have really hurt both of these teams, especially in the early goings of that first set. It felt like whenever either side was gaining an inch of momentum, those service errors really just turned the tide.
It's a big momentum shifter, and when you're coming off of a really emphatic point and ecstatic with your team, it's really tough to keep momentum going when you follow that up with a service error.
See what Kenna has for us.
Really nice job from the Averett to stop that ace. Hit goes a little too far. Finn Oakley doing a really nice job for this Averett team. Sends that one past the line, giving the Hornets another point and keeping Mason Kenna at the line. Kenna gonna send this one over. Really high throw up that time. And he gives his own little serving error on that one, cutting some slack for the Cougars. Cutting the lead down to 2.
They talking a whole lot about Kenna and Jackson today. Those two are the Carolina University transfers.
Yeah, you're talking about them being transfers. Obviously, this is a brand new team. We talked about it all the home opener. We've been talking about it. This one, these are, and especially for the Cougars, these are brand new players on this team that have to mesh together, and they have to find that while they're playing games, and that's what everybody's hoping, is that both of these teams find their rhythm as the season goes on. There's a really nice deflection there from Lynchburg at the net, and can't get that one over. Sending it to the back. Really nice effort there from Esqueda. It's going to end up being a Cougars point. A little bit of miscommunication on the Hornets' defensive side there, as we're going to see Sasu Tuamasi, the junior from Virginia Beach, serve this one for the Cougars. Lynchburg sending this one over to the Cougars side. Oh, really nice move there from Averett, but Lynchburg read that one all the way, and that one's going to go out of bounds. It was a little bit of a short rally, but I actually think that was very impressive from both sides, as we saw a really nice job from Dominic Jenkins trying to catch the Hornets off guard.
It's just the towering presence that Jackson provides on the interior. So difficult to find a way around him. I mean, just the length that you can even see on his serve.
A little bit of a catch there for the Hornets. That's something that you don't really see too much on the volleyball court. The good thing is that for both teams, when a point doesn't go their way, they keep that energy going in between their huddles, in between points, and that's the most important thing, is that these players stick with each other and play together. As another serving error for the Cougars, keeping the Hornets above them. Score 9-8 so far in this second set. Hornets up 1-0. We're going to see Noah Wolf send this one over.
Wolf, a guy that was all conference during his high school career. Freshman out of Eagan, Minnesota.
Minnesota, that's a long way from home.
Yes, it is.
I wonder how much colder it is up there than it is here.
I mean,
we've had a cold winter.
This team is all over the place. Obviously, you've got a whole lot of Virginia on the roster, but New York, California, Pennsylvania, Washington, Arizona. I mean, they really come from all stretches.
The diversity of places throughout this team, it's something that if you do it right, you can use that to mesh this team together. As the Cougars send this one over, Lynchburg going to try and steal this one. A nice hit from Kapitanov. Unfortunately, went the way of the Cougars. Hit it in the right spot, just a little too much power on that.
Well, also, I mean, with such a young and developing program, obviously schools like Randolph-Macon are going to have a whole lot of talent coming from the Virginia area. So you're going to have to look other places, and you're going to have to find guys in Arizona that are willing to come to Virginia and really build a culture and build the foundation of a program. Nonetheless, that's not to say they haven't found talent in this state. You've got guys like Berardo who are out of Midlothian, which is really, 20, 30 minutes south of Ashland, and still first-team all-regional player in high school, a guy that's really been the go-to player for the defensive side for Lynchburg. He's their everyday starter at libero.
Referee going to say Kapitanov held on to that one too long. Averett point. They're staying close into this one so far. 11-10. A little bit of a better set from the Cougars. And this is the competition that you love to see if you're a volleyball fan. If you're a Lynchburg fan, you're saying, well, what was going on last set differently that we can change onto this set?
Oh, watch out.
Powerful hit from Nicholas Breen into the Cougars bench. Maybe sending them a little message, you think?
But this is the kind of battle that we came into this affair expecting. A back and forth between two conference opponents that really are neck and neck in terms of talent. Oh.
Really nice job there from Asketa. Powerful hit. Nothing Averett could do there. As Lynchburg going to take the lead back again, 12-11.
There's certainly not a lack of juice and energy from this Lynchburg team. I mean, these young bucks certainly came to play today. They're juiced up.
Well, that's something that you really, really like to see. And as a coaching staff, it's something that you love to bring into this program, because when it comes to men's volleyball, and we talked about it a little bit before the first set ended, as that set going to be a little bit of a net violation. It's going to go Cougars point, but we talked about a little bit of the difference between men's and women's volleyball. A lot more velocity in their shots, whether it comes from a serve or a kill.
The rallies aren't going to be as long. That's without a doubt, and it puts a whole lot more emphasis at defense at the net, along with your outside hitters.
I think that makes it a little bit more fun to watch, too. You're not going to get the same type of game.
I mean, I'm personally, I probably lean a little bit more in terms of the women's, but to each his own. I mean, I'm a big fan of the rallies that go back and forth and can go on for minutes at a time, but this is more explosive to a certain extent. But as we said, more emphasis on those outside hitters and what they can really do. Asketa is someone that's starting to get more involved here in the second frame. He's someone I've certainly got my eye on. I feel like there's a lot he can do. As Kenna with a beautiful ace right there. And Asketa, we've seen him climb the ladder a couple of times. He was a three-sport athlete in high school. A guy that played soccer, basketball, and volleyball.
I think those multi-sport athletes are, I think they're the most fun to announce with. Obviously, we love every single player here, but it's always great talking about the multi-sport athletes. I mean, we've got Bree Spainhour on the basketball team at the moment, but also a women's volleyball player. I didn't mean to make that connection with the volleyball team, but
I will say I was a three-sport athlete on JV, so I got deep ties as well.
Like that. I will admit, I was not a three-sport athlete. I was too scared of getting hurt.
But Asketa does it even beyond that. He's a snowboarder, too.
That's impressive. That's something that you definitely won't see looking at every single roster. Snowboarding is that's something that I wish I could do.
You never hit the slopes before?
No, never. And some part of me is okay with that, because I like snow. Don't get me wrong, but if it gets too cold, that's why I played a spring sport. Baseball, spring sport, obviously cold in the beginning, and those were the worst. But playing a spring sport, it gets a little warmer, and that is the beauty of being inside also when you're on the men's volleyball team or when we're broadcasting volleyball or basketball. It's usually the same temperature in here. You don't have to worry about shivering or sweating, and obviously the players sweat no matter what. But
well, Sked is feeling hot right now after the ace right there. Gerardo with a nice dig as well.
A really nice job. Is hoping to get a good rally here.
Got to send a free ball.
Almost got that into a no man's land for the Cougars.
Wow.
And they almost got that one over. A really nice effort there.
Yeah, but those free ball kills are really what's going to...
It's what's killing this Averett team.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we're going to see them take a timeout.
But yeah, we're going to have a timeout here from the Cougars. The Hornets up 17-13. A little bit of a closer set in set number 2, but we will be right back on LHSN.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
Welcome back here on Wayne Prophet Court, and you see right there Lynchburg on a 5-1 run so far, gaining separation from the Cougars. Still a close set, only a 4-point lead for the Hornets, but we're going to see what happens out of this timeout as a powerful hit from the Cougars as it came off of a Lynchburg player, hit off the rafters and went back towards Averett's side of the court.
Yeah, it can hit off the rafters, but you need it to stay on your side of the floor. That one will go to the Cougars. And this is the time when you really want to start cutting into that lead and have a little bit of a swing of momentum. It's a game of runs, just like it would be in basketball. And Jackson trying to put a stop to that quick run.
Killing any bit of momentum that the Cougars had coming out of that timeout. Timeouts are very important in not just basketball, but men's volleyball and women's volleyball. It's so important slowing down the other team. It's kind of like icing the kicker, really, in football.
I think another piece of it is you want to give your players just a little bit of time to breathe, especially with an Averett team that only goes 11 deep.
Really nice job there from Noah Wolf, sending that one towards the area with no Cougars in sight.
It's not every day you're going to see the 5'8" setter climb the ladder and throw one down across the court.
Vertical is showing right there for Wolf.
Starting to feel like the Oprah Winfrey show for the Hornets right now. You get a kill, you get a kill.
As Bryce Jackson's going to send that one into the net.
I mean, Lynchburg's really doing a good job of just coming at you from a lot of different ways. Averett as well, but they've really had their go-to playmakers today, especially Oakley. He's had a really phenomenal day. 3 kills on 5 total attacks. But they haven't been looking for him as much as we might have thought coming into it. It's really been...
You see Sean Freeman send one over again. Got an ace on that prior point. A little miscommunication from Lynchburg.
Pardon me, it's been Collazo really with the attack so far. 17 total attacks. That leads all players in this contest thus far. He's had some success right now with a hitting percentage just a tick under 300.
Costello again finding Lynchburg Hornets a point. Got a little bit of a tip from the Averett Cougars. Ball goes out of bounds, but going to be Lynchburg point.
Well, what's really made Lynchburg so dangerous so far today is they have 6 players with 5 total attempts attacking. And when you don't know where it's coming from, that can really make things difficult for the defense. And we've seen that a handful of times today, Ethan.
Well, absolutely, and we look at Wolf still at the serving line doing a fantastic job. A little bit of an announcer's curse on that one as he sends that one close to the referee again.
We've had a couple of those today.
Well, that's all right. Well, that's why you got a couple points in hand. You get a little bit of, can't really think of the word, but 4-point lead for the Hornets as they're going to send this one back over to the Cougars side. And Freeman can't get to that one. And Lynchburg, like we said at the beginning, they're coming out of that timeout. They went on a 5-1 run getting separation, and now they're up 5 at 22 in this set. 3 points away from going up 2-0. Cougars gonna have to find a little bit of momentum here.
I mean, it's been a great day from Costello with 8 kills, 10 points. The serving has really been his area of concern today, but able to earn another one right here. He's had 4 service errors thus far. 4 of the Lynchburg 11.
Well, if you're Averett and there are so many serving aces, you really got to find a way where you can capitalize on that, and that's where Averett's been struggling in this bout.
Well, he's kind of, to put this into your baseball terms, he's your big swinger. He's the guy that, you know, right now he's leading the team in service aces and in service errors. He's got some power.
Yeah, really nice job there from Costello. Coming back from the service line, smoking that one towards the Cougars side, and now they are on set point here.
And that's a guy coming from the top ropes. That's like when you got a guy running in from the 3-point line and dunking one.
Is Costello going to send this one over, trying, and that one going to be in. Looks like Redding didn't really know which way that ball was going to go on the line. It sounded like a couple of people were saying that it was going to be out, but point going to go towards the Cougars' way.
And with a 7-point advantage, those are the ones that you can kind of let go, but you don't want to give Averett any piece of momentum.
And there it is. A really nice job from Esqueda. A really nice job from this Lynchburg team. Was a close set number 2 throughout a majority of it. Lynchburg finding their stride, taking set number 2, 25-18.
It was really the opposite of what we saw in the opening frame. At the beginning, Lynchburg pulled away in the first set. Averett made it competitive, brought it down to the wire. And here in the second, really competitive. Averett picks up right where they left off, but Lynchburg pulls away in the latter stages off the arm of Costello, leading the charge. 9 kills as Lynchburg takes a 2-0 advantage into the third frame.
Today's a rough day. Jess and I are officially on a break. The couple canoe has broken up.
It's not.
How you feeling? Living the dream.
Just canoeing. That's the Mexican side behind me. The U.S. is that way.
So far, we're all still alive.
I really want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Woo! We did it! Kind of.
My name is Alexis Fabula. I major in criminology and I double minor in psychology and criminal forensics. My favorite part about Lynchburg is the friends that I've come to have. It's helped me come out of my shell more, and it's helped me become the person I am and the student I am. I really enjoyed how small the campus was, and I also really enjoy how small the class sizes are. It made me feel like I was going to be more engaged than I would at a bigger campus. If someone was on the fence of coming to the University of Lynchburg, I would definitely love to sit down and have a conversation with them because I'm forever grateful that I made this choice. It's definitely something that a student wouldn't regret. Out of my 4 years here, I've not had one bad experience. I've had a great 4 years, and I'm going to be very sad to go.
Back in action here in Turner Gymnasium on the Wayne Prophet Court. The University of Lynchburg Hornets up 2-0 in sets. Looking to break out the brooms here. They're going to need to have a very, very good set. Both of the first two have been competitive as we see the coaching staff for the Averett Cougars. We're going to see what they drew up in between breaks.
Yeah, if you're Stillman and Nash, you got to come up with something creative here. You found the recipe to success, obviously, in the first two frames, but you haven't been able to find that consistency quite yet. But you're not dead in the water. You've got a chance here. You just need to take this set and get the momentum back on your side.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about at the beginning of the game how there's no head coach for this team.
No, sir.
Both of them are assistant coaches. Do you think not having a head coach could cause some struggles, or do you think they kind of just do it half and half?
Oh, they're both listed as assistant coaches, but I feel like somebody's probably taking the lead. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, definitely a first in my broadcasting. And that is going to be a huge point for Lynchburg coming out of the gate swinging.
I mean, I can't tell you a time I've seen it in my entire life. Like, I can't think of a team at the collegiate level or professional level that's had two assistants rather than one. You know, I've seen an interim from an assistant.
Yeah, it's a little interesting to see that as that serve ends up being an error going out towards the far side of the court. It is a little different. Usually you obviously have that head coach, a couple assistant coaches, and maybe a couple specialty coaches. Obviously we had that with baseball, a really nice kill there from Costello. You know, obviously I like to compare things in baseball terms. You usually have the head coach, a pitching coach, hitting coach, stuff like that. We've definitely had that set here at the University of Lynchburg
and
for them.
It's the same thing on the women's side as well. You've got Nash and Stillman.
A little different, two different teams. Serving ace for Costello. We talked about it in the first two sets. Serving aces are really the biggest mistakes from both these teams. They have a couple. 9 from Averett, 13 for Lynchburg. As Averett going to send this over to Lynchburg's side. A really nice point there from Averett, taking the lead here at 3-2 early in the set. We saw in the second set, Averett, they were fighting for a majority of it, but Lynchburg eventually found their stride, separated themselves away from the Cougars, and took it 25-18. That one gonna go out.
And once again, it's just the towering presence right at the net. Forces Oakley to try and put one over the top, and it sails on them.
When you know you've got a really good defense on the other side of the net, I don't know how it is, but it's got to be really difficult to know where you want to hit the ball. You don't want to hit it right into them because you take the chance of it going right down onto your side of the net. But Kapitanov going to send this one over. Referee blowing a whistle. And they're going to redo this one. Referee saying he wasn't ready. Getting a couple claps from his bench there. A little smile from Kapitanov. We're going to redo this serve. Averett trying to turn things around here in this match. Really nice job from the Hornets. Looked like it might have been going out. A really nice dive there from Sean Freeman, but he goes under the net, and it will be a Lynchburg point.
And you really have to tip your cap to how Averett has played today, but I mean, this is a program that's still learning. I mean, the training wheels are definitely on for both these sides. Granted, it is the second year of Averett, but I mean, they're still new to the block. And last year, 0-17, they won 4 sets in the entire year. I mean, it's a team that really, really struggled in their debut season. And this year, you know, you started off with some success. You got a sweep in the first game of your second year. But coming in today, this was an opportunity to really put your stamp on the conference and take down a conference opponent for the first time in program history.
Well, a lot of it has to do with finding who is going to be the player to step up. And so far this season, it has been Finn Oakley as he sends this one towards the Hornets. That one going to be blocked. A really nice job there from the Cougars. That'll be Liam Audrain, a freshman from Suffolk, Virginia, doing a really nice job there at the net, sending back everything from Lynchburg's way this set.
And we talked a little bit earlier about Virginia Wesleyan as well being in their second season. They're 3-1. They're off to a great start. But if you look at their first year in 2024, I mean, they went 8-18. They struggled in conference as well. Granted, there was no conference at the time, but dropped games to Randolph-Macon, to EMU, Roanoke. Obviously, they got the win over Averett, and both times they played them. But, I mean, that was the only conference game they had. Obviously, no conference record on the schedule, but went 2-7 with teams that are currently in the ODAC conference. And that's a team that's pieced it together, and you're starting to see them build. And I think that's the pace that you look for Lynchburg this year. If you get a win today, you're 3-3. You're right at 500 through your first 6 games, with another one on deck today. But I feel like they've really started to exceed expectations to a certain extent. Really, the only one that you wish you could get back is that game against Eastern at the Macon Invitational.
Beautiful set and a beautiful kill from Bryce Jackson, the sophomore from Stallings, North Carolina, putting every ounce of power. As we look at this replay, there is absolutely nothing anybody on that Cougars defense could do.
Man, he's a playmaker, and you really do see the difference in the freshmen and the upperclassmen with this team. And Kenna, Jackson, and Kapitanov, pardon me. And those are 3 guys that have come in and really showcased their leadership and their experience. And you're seeing it not only off the floor, but on here today. I mean, these are 3 of the playmakers that are in the lineup every day and constantly show you why they're in that starting rotation.
You're going to need every bit of experience in the ODAC conference, like you were talking. This is the first year that it's actually been a conference for the men's volleyball. And we talk about experience. When you look at Kapitanov, another multi-sport athlete playing soccer on the men's side, obviously, but having that experience in the ODAC while playing soccer, do you think that plays a role here in men's volleyball?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you.
Well, a man of many words, Joe Brennan. Is Lynchburg going to figure out what is going on here, referee at the scoring table?
I will tell you that soccer program, very well coached, and that's probably got something to do with it. I don't, because when I think of soccer, I mean, there's no other sport that's like that. I mean, it's all feet. This is a lot more arms.
Well, it is called football, actually, but I'm not allowed to say that here in the United States. As we're going to get a Sketa to send this one over to Averett's side. A little short, hits the bottom of the net, giving Cougars an 8-6 lead here in this third set, as we are going to see Sasu Twamasi serve this one for the Cougars. Still a little bit of communication between the ref and the scorers table, and play will continue on.
15 service errors today for Lynchburg. I mean, that's really been their Achilles heel. They've had playmakers. There goes Costello once again. He's seeing the floor so well today, Ethan.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's finding those open pockets, knowing where the Averett Cougars team isn't, and that we talked about volleyball IQ a little bit in the second set, and that's what's so important with men's volleyball is you got to know where your players are and where their players aren't. It's so crucial in this sport, as Averett going to send that one outside of the line and give the Hornets a point to tie this game up, as 22 Bryce Jackson gonna send this one over to the Cougars. They got a little bit of a touch there. Maybe goes out of bounds. Gonna be another Hornets point as Dominic Jenkins tries to place it right on that line and unsuccessful in that attempt. Smash there from the Cougars. Hetherington blocked from the Hornets. And Hornets getting a little bit of stride in this third set. Maybe going to attempt to get some separation with this momentum that they've got going so far, as it's 10-8 in this third set. Cougars going to try and change that. It's going to be a free ball for the Hornets. And an attempt to block it. Hits the net, stays on the Hornets side. And a nice kill by Collazo. Looked like it might have gone out of bounds, but it gets a touch on a Hornets player. And Cougars staying right with the Hornets, saying what you can do, I can also do. As Freeman gonna send this one towards the Hornets. And Kapitanov, we were just talking about him. A massive shot there. And a really nice attempt from Audrain to get that one, but it's just too far behind the court. And keeping that lead towards the Hornets side, as we're gonna see Noah Wolf, a freshman from Minnesota, like we talked about earlier, send this one over. He was at the line quite a bit in that second set. We're gonna see what happens here. A really nice job from Averett to send it over, but an even better job from Berardo to keep that one alive. We're gonna send it over, a couple hits. Averett keeps it alive. They're gonna send that free ball over towards the Hornets. And a strong hit from Nick Redding. Went out, but it did touch a Cougar. As the referee is saying it is Lynchburg's point. A little bit of confusion from the coaching staff of the Cougars, as the referee is going to march his way over and explain what is going on here. Lynchburg Hornets up 2-0 on sets, 12-9 in this third.
Did you catch that he's got a Buc-ee's clipboard?
No, I didn't. I wish I did. That's a really nice job from our cameraman, JP, getting that close up. That Buc-ee's clipboard, I've been to Buc-ee's. That place, it's magical.
You a big Buc-ee's guy?
Oh, well, I wasn't. We were on an away trip. We do tournaments at the beginning of the baseball seasons. We made our way up and stopped at a Buc-ee's. So I actually didn't know what it was before last year, believe it or not. I felt like I was missing out. I walked in and I was overwhelmed. I mean, it's basically a gas station and a Walmart put together. It's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
A lot of fun going in there. I mean, I think we were there for 30 minutes. We got lost. There's just so much to do there. Lynchburg up 13-10 in this one. Costello gonna be at the service line. Sending it over towards the Cougars. Oh, I tell you what, that serve had some power and some spin on it, but it just goes a little bit too far past the near side. And it'll be a Cougars point. And these are really the points that we talked about that are the most important. Other than coming out of the timeout, you really want to find some momentum coming off of errors and serving errors. As a huge spike coming from Nick Redding, our player to watch. We made him the player to watch because he's done so well on the defensive end, but like this afternoon, he's done a fantastic job on the offense, too. Kapitanov going to be the one to send this over. Nice little soft serve. Almost went towards the Hornets side. And they're going to say that's Lynchburg point. As the referee, Freeman, saying Freeman is the reason for that. Got a little touch on the net, possibly. Freeman showing a little bit of frustration. Lynchburg up 14-11. Nice job there, nice placement from Sasu Tuamasi.
He's had a great day today.
We've called his name out a bunch. And those are the players that he's been one of the players to step up so far in this game. It's whether the rest of this Cougars team can help out, and that's what we've been talking about, those minor mental errors as Askeda tries to get a little bit of a set there on that serve. It'll be Cougars point, 15-13. A swing by the Hornets. Nick Redding saying his name over and over again.
And this guy can jump out of the gym. It is unbelievable how high he can get up.
Really nice velocity and getting that height before the swing, as we see there on that replay. Getting height on that set, it's so crucial, and that's where the setting part of this game is so important. If you have a top-class setter, the rest of your team, it helps them do that much better. A really nice job there from Costello to keep that one alive. As the Cougars going to try and get a little bit of offense going here, but it's blocked by the Hornets, and they get a little bit of their own as Bryce Jackson slamming that one down, giving the Hornets a 17-13 lead. And we talked about how the second set was a close one. The Hornets found a little bit of a separation at around the same time as this set. Cougars going to try and stay close in this one. Kenna going to send this one into the net once again. Another serving error for the Hornets.
And you know, when we talk about the two Carolina transfers in Kenna and Jackson, Kenna, a guy that got great experience in his 2 seasons at Carolina for that varsity team, but Jackson was playing for the club side. He wasn't even on that varsity team, but he came with Kenna, and those two have been so dynamic this year.
A really good job from both of them, lifting this Lynchburg team up to 18-14 score. Doing a really nice job, as we're going to see Askeda send this one over to the Cougar side. If you can see on the left side of your screen, the far left, on the side of the bleachers, you can see Marymount starting to warm up. And they're going to call that an Averett point. Some questions from Lynchburg's bench and the players on the court. Ryan Turner going to walk up, give a high five to Jackson. Jackson thought that one either maybe touched one of the Cougars or got a piece of that line.
Yeah, I mean, tough to tell from our angle, but with the official right in front of that line, it's tough to argue with his perspective. Nonetheless, that isn't the kind of point that's going to be detrimental, as Lynchburg is rolling right now.
Yeah, not the strongest swing on that one, but it finds a pocket of open space, and Sasu Tuamasi can't get to it as he heads to the bench, along with 14 Berardo for the Hornets heading to the bench. As Bryce Jackson going to send this one over, and that is a little too far. Another service error for the Hornets. That will make it 18. 18 service errors for Lynchburg, 10 on the Averett side. We're going to see how Freeman can respond, sending this one over. And not the response you really want to see if you're a Cougar fan, is hitting that one into the net. And that'll add up to 11 service errors for the Cougars, giving the ball back to the Hornets. Hornets first to 20 again in this third set. 4-point lead. Noah Wolf with the serve. And back-to-back errors from both teams as Noah Wolf finds the net. I feel like a little bit of a broken record here, possibly. We're seeing a lot of mistakes from both sides in this third set. But mistakes are really what makes your team better, because if you can find out what is wrong and what your team's doing wrong that is causing these mistakes, it's going to help your team ultimately better in the long run.
It hasn't felt like there's been a whole lot of miscues on the right side of the floor today. Lynchburg has been doing a phenomenal job in executing. I mean, there really hasn't been a spot in the game where I feel like they've extremely excelled in or struggled in. It's been a lot of consistency all over the place. This guy has been having himself a day. He has really catapulted Lynchburg to the advantage in every single frame. And right now, Averett just doesn't have an answer for him.
Jeremiah Costello, we've called his name a bunch. The freshman from Chesterfield finds the net again after the last serve. They're going to call a net violation and give another point to Lynchburg.
And a great job by Kapitanov right there. I mean, he's such a towering presence. And what a story for this guy as well. In his sophomore year, came to Lynchburg strictly off soccer, playing backup keeper to Viscuso. But a guy that went to the state semifinal for men's volleyball in high school at Monacan. Now he's really starting to get involved here with the men's program. As soon as they brought that team on board, he said, I'm in. No questions asked. And a guy that's not only a great player on the floor, but also just a great guy off the floor. I mean, he's got 60 hours of community service at the food bank, at Sportable, an own goal, a goalkeeping camp, along with, working as a physical therapist in the local area.
Kapitanov bringing that experience to this team as a serving ace for none other than Jeremiah Costello is going to send them over to 25 points, and that will be a third set victory for the Hornets and a sweep. Haven't seen a sweep from the Hornets or a win from the Hornets since Game 2 of their regular season, bringing them some confidence, hopefully. Joe, what was your standout performance today for the Hornets?
Costello. In 21 total attempts, he did not have a single error. 12 kills with a hitting percentage over 500 at 571. You don't see that. Along with 4 aces as well, 8 digs. He led the team in almost every single category.
Yeah, really nice performance for Costello. A nice performance for a lot of people on this Lynchburg team. We can say name after name. They did a really fantastic job against the Averett Cougars.
But on Averett's side, while you get swept in 3, you get a chance to retake the hardwood in this next game and a chance to try and gain a little bit of momentum. Nobody wants to go 0-2 today.
Yeah, absolutely. Going 0-2. It's a struggle for them, obviously, getting swept. They've lost a ton of sets in a row. Going into this Marymount game, you're hoping that you're not too tired. Obviously, we talked a couple times how thin their roster is. They only have 4 players on the bench to go to. Might be a little tired going into this Marymount game, but you also have to look at the bright side, and they've been playing volleyball for the past hour and a half or so, and Marymount hasn't played a single bit. So you got to look at the bright sides of going into this game.
Yeah,
if you're
you definitely got the juices flowing a little bit, and for Lynchburg, somewhat of advantage that you get to take a breather here and scout Marymount for a game before you retake the hardwood at 4 p.m.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. A 3-0 sweep for the Lynchburg Hornets. We will be right back with the Marymount versus Averett game. Hopefully an exciting matchup. This has been a fantastic performance for the Lynchburg Hornets. My name is Ethan Morotsky. He is Joe Brennan. Thank you so much for joining us on LHSN.